This is The Sports Life.
Johnson and Gesicki far side, near side, Tompkins and Hamilton. It's win it or lose it right here. 4th and goal at the 7. Sorley up to the line of scrimmage. Takes it. Back to pass. Blitz coming. In the end zone, throws. Got it. Touchdown. Penn State. Juwan Johnson and the Nittany Lions at the wire win it.
And welcome into the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler, the Golden Tones of Steve Jones, in a big game in Iowa City. And the only time Penn State would lead that game was on that play. Just got to win at the end, right? That's right. All you got to do. And welcome into our show, everybody, and welcome into our celebration of the July 4th weekend and saluting the men and women who defend our country. So one of the fun things we're going to do in this show, we're going to visit with Doug Wojcik, who's an associate head coach at Michigan State for basketball, and, of course, head coach Tom Izzo, as Doug was an officer in the Navy, and Tom Izzo's involvement with the military is pretty documented.
It sure is, and it's kind of endless. And one of the big keynote moments of that was 11-11-11, the game on the Carrier Classic against North Carolina. We're going to bring you a feature of that game. We're going to bring you actually a really fun family feature that ties into the Spartan family in the military there as well. And we're going to be highlighting some of the other great moments between Big Ten basketball and the military as we salute and celebrate the 4th of July.
Well, one of the things we're going to celebrate as we count down between now and the beginning of the 2025 Big Ten football season, we are celebrating the year 2017.
That's right. That's where you got to hear that Juwan Johnson Penn State game winner to top things off at the beginning of this. Well, if Hawkeye fans, you felt a bit clipped then, now you can rejoice because we're going to bring you a Hawkeye memory as you end up winning the Cy-Hawk rivalry game against Iowa State at the wire as well. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Two tights, tie-dye, and Smith-Marset outside right. He goes in motion. Stanley looks that way, throws. It is caught. Touchdown! Touchdown, Iowa! Game over. Iowa wins in overtime. 44-41. Same score, just a reverse of the victor.
Well, it's always good to beat your rival, I guess, right?
That's right. What a great moment that was for Hawkeye fans anytime they get to win over Iowa State. Another pretty incredible moment from the year 2017 goes to East Lansing. And at Michigan State, they hosted Penn State. This becomes incredible for a couple of reasons. One, you get a game winner. But also, this was an afternoon that turned into an evening because this game kicked at 12:05 in the afternoon Eastern time. It finished at 7:03. And if you don't remember the game right away, maybe you're thinking, how many overtimes was this game? No, it was a weather delay, about 3.5 hours long. Both teams come back out. They're able to finish the contest, and it finishes on the foot of kicker Matt Coughlin. Here's the final game-winning kick called by George Blaha, and you'll get to hear from Matt Coughlin afterwards.
Spartans in position to win this football game with 4 seconds to play. It'll be a 34-yard field goal try by young Matt Coughlin. Kaflish ready to snap it. Brian Lewerke will hold it. It's on the way back. It's down. It's up. It's long enough.
It's good!
And it's good! Spartans win!
They win, baby!
That's the end of the game. Matt Coughlin, the hero, swarmed by his teammates. A 34-yard field goal.
I don't know if I could feel any better. I mean, a win's one thing, and then to be able to make the last-second kick, I mean, that's another thing. And still got to process it. I mean, happened a minute ago, and it's just crazy.
It was crazy, all right. And all of us that were there remember certain things. Mm-hmm. The one thing that struck me as odd, of course, we have this 3.5-hour delay. Rain was one issue, but it was the thunder, right? Okay. So they called the game initially, suspended play with, 2 minutes before halftime?
Yeah, pretty much.
So we wait 3.5 hours. They come out, and you just assume, okay, we're going to play 2.5 minutes and keep going. No, they played 2.5 minutes, then took a full halftime. It was crazy.
And the stories of the locker rooms, the pizza that was delivered for the players because they're just sitting there for hours. They got to eat.
And of course, the myth grows, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things the Michigan State people say, because Penn State had the pizza, they were kind of sluggish.
That's right.
Okay.
And by the way, too, if fans are trying to picture that game, that's when Matt Coughlin finishes the field goal and then dives face first on his belly for a slip and slide across Spartan Stadium's field, if that brings back any memories. But I will tell you this, too, Will, before we move on to the next moment, because that's a moment both you and I were there for. The second half of that game, whenever they resumed actually the weather delay, because you're right, on a technicality, it was right before halftime, they just allowed fans, if you were in the area, come in for free and just help create this atmosphere. Probably half the stadium was full. The lower bowl was full there at Spartan Stadium, but it was one of the loudest environments that I've ever witnessed. It was really an incredible kind of awe-striking time.
Yeah, it sounded like there was 100,000 people there. It really did.
It was incredible.
The whole thing was just nuts. But at the end of the day, it's a win for Michigan State. And it's one of those games where you ask yourself, what were you doing during the 3.5 hours? Okay, you want a little technical sidebar?
Let's hear it.
Okay. So imagine everything's down. There's electric's down, everything's down. Mm-hmm. And they're telling us we're going to resume play. So the path from Spartan Stadium to the satellite had to be rerouted. Mm-hmm. It had to go not to Denver, but it had to go to New York, which required an engineering staff to redo everything that had been programmed. Okay, so now 20 minutes before they resume play, we are told we're going at this time. And our engineer guy says, we are good to go to New York. And then the weak link that kept us from doing our normal got restored. And these poor engineer guys, then I say, no, switch it back to Denver. After all that work. And they got us back in one piece, maybe a minute before play resumed. It was just crazy, Bill.
An ugly look behind the curtain to what the radio side of that all looks like.
I don't think those guys are talking to me to this day.
Oh, fair enough. Hey, let's mix in a little basketball here to celebrate 2017, huh? Let's move to the Big Ten basketball tournament on the men's side, which actually was played in Washington, D.C., and part of it felt like maybe it was in jeopardy not going to be played at all because the team that ended up winning the tournament, the Michigan Wolverines, actually barely even got to Washington, D.C. This is the year their plane had troubles taking off and slid off the runway through a fence. And here's what the accounts were of head coach at the time, John Beilein, and star player who ended up winning the tournament MVP, Derek Walton Jr., of the incident.
As we were taking off, you think you're about to go up, they hit the brakes. And now we're just hearing either PA or the flight attendants yelling, head down, stay down, head down, just like what I understand in the movie Sully. And my goodness, we started what I'm calling a toboggan ride at that point where you don't know where you're going. You can't see what's in front of you. And finally we hit something, we hit a fence apparently, and then there's a ditch that stopped us. And thank God we didn't flip. It just stopped. It seemed like in minutes, everybody was off the plane. Guys, my 6'2", 6'9", and 7-foot centers threw an emergency door out the window.
On the way out of the plane, one of my teammates ripped the emergency door out and flung it. And I tried to jump over it. I didn't get it. I didn't get my split jump, and I got hit right on the knee. And I had to get 5 stitches and play with them throughout the entire tournament.
And it was interesting. Coach Beilein had a vote of the players. Do they get back on another airplane to go to D.C.? It was not unanimous. Mm-hmm. And when they showed up, they did not show up in their uniforms, but they showed up in their practice uniforms. Because once you're in a plane crash, the FAA takes over and you can't touch anything. Well, their uniforms are in the plane underneath. They can't get there. And we've already told one broadcast story, but Tony Butler, who does all their engineering for their basketball and football, all of his equipment was in the bottom of that airplane. So he's heading to D.C. for the tournament, and it was almost like an equipment call. Okay, Tony, do you need headsets? Do you need this? Do you need that? Because all of his stuff he couldn't get to.
That's right.
And they win the thing.
It's amazing.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about the first time anybody played a college basketball game, or for that matter, any basketball game on an aircraft carrier. Back with more in just a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little? But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Every kid deserves a chance to feel safe, to have their own bed, to be loved and cared for. That's why I love my foster parents. They make me feel like part of the family.
Raise hope and foster dreams for one of 13,000 Michigan children in foster care. Visit michigan.gov/hope for a home or call 855-MICH-KIDS. That's 855-MICH-KIDS. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay.
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. We'll team here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, as we said at the beginning of the program, we were going to salute Independence Day, salute July 4th. And this is the show we are doing that. And there have been some magic moments between the military and the Big Ten. And I think, Dalton, why don't we start off with one of the craziest ones of all time, a basketball game being played on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, it seems to be Michigan State seems to be at the center stage of almost all of these military interactions. So let's go to it. 11-11-11. Michigan State and North Carolina in the Carrier Classic.
Well, we're here in San Diego, California for the opening day of the 2011-12 Michigan State basketball season. Well, that comes a great deal of excitement. It's a new year and a young team with a great upside. Yeah, this opening day will be like none other. This season will open up on the deck of a nuclear aircraft carrier, the USS Carl Vinson. It's Michigan State and North Carolina, topside right here on the Spartan Network.
I think it's going to be right up there at the top. I really do. I just think it's an event that wasn't made for TV as much as it's made for our country. And how often do you get to do that? Very seldom. What are you drinking? You know, it was cool. I shouldn't say I was surprised as I just sounded because, you Mark's done some bizarre things over the years. He's had me do everything. We've played in so many places. We've rappelled down from the ceilings. Whatever Mark's involved in, I think he's got an insurance policy out on me. It's just an awesome, awesome experience. And, as I sit here again with you guys, I think about Gus and what he's gone through in the military. I think about my father, my uncles, and how can you ask for any more than this? I mean, it's way better than I thought it would be. So we got to say wow and yet play the game. But if we don't get their best effort, something wrong with their ticker. If we get their best effort, doesn't mean we can win this game. I mean, we're playing against, the number one team in the country, as I've said. But we're playing it on a ship that the number one team in the world owns, and that's our military. So a lot of number ones today.
Down low, the ball goes to Green. Back out front to Dawson. Cross-court pass. Appling pulls up, shoots for three. Nothing but net for Keith Appling. Keith Appling has the ball, being guarded by Strickland. Still dribbling around. 8:05 to go in the half. Down lane he goes. Shots away. Oh, my goodness. Bank shot is good. He got around Henson. How do you do that?
At first, I really wasn't sure what an aircraft carrier was, but then when I found out it was a boat, it was kind of mesmerizing, because I didn't really know how it was going to go down playing on the boat. But, I'm glad we're getting this opportunity. I'm very excited about it.
The ball goes to Nix for Michigan State. Now to Austin for three. Off the mark. Just beat the shot clock. Rebound, Green back up, and it's in, and he's fouled. And that basket is going to count.
Well, right now, Michigan State doing a great job on the offensive glass.
So he's at the point. With it now is Dawson. Now to Green. Trying to get a pick. Down the lane he goes. Shots away. Oh, he got it off the glass. Thornton around the top of the key. Now to Trice. Trice calls the play. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Trice down the lane. Stops, floaters away. No. Oh, wow, but the follow. Slam dunk by Draymond Green is really good.
You just realize how much of a blessing that it really is. Two teams out of 300 and whatever it is in Division I basketball, you're one of two teams that's honored and blessed to play, basically playing for your country in front of your troops, supporting them as they fight for our freedom every day. It means a lot, and I've been pumped about it. I'm ready to go already. Austin Thornton.
You can't ask for anything else from someone to basically lay down their life, so we can come out here and enjoy a game. And that's just something that's really special. I was joking earlier that, we complain about, we got an early morning workout, or we got a late night film session, or the practice went longer than we wanted. But when it really comes down to it, we're able to do what we can do because of the sacrifice of men like my brother who, basically laid down their lives for our country.
And with that, a lob pass down low to Adrian Payne, who makes one spin move and slams it home. He's got 8. We're under a minute.
The other thing is, if there ever was a basketball game that there was no loser, it was this one.
Absolutely. This is a moment when none of us will forget. And like I said earlier, the memory of this game will fade, but the memory of the event and day will not, ever. Well, there were a lot of great stories to go along with that once-in-a-lifetime moment. North Carolina and Michigan State playing on an aircraft carrier. By the way, if you're interested, how big is the top of one of those ships? Well, they said they could put 41 or 42 basketball courts on the deck of the Carl Vinson. When Tom Izzo talked about Mark, that was Mark Hollis, the former athletic director of Michigan State, who was the brains behind this. And, of course, Gus Kanakis, which you heard later, a 30-year-plus broadcaster on the Michigan State Radio Network and a World War II Marine veteran, having his comments back. So, Dalton, 2 quick stories.
Yes.
About 5 or 6 years before this game actually happened, we're on a plane for a basketball game heading to D.C., and Mark Hollis is accompanying the Michigan State basketball team. So I say, Mark, what are you doing on this trip? It's not like the tournament or anything. He goes, well, I have a meeting at the Pentagon. I go, what? The Pentagon? Yeah, I got this great idea. We're gonna tell them that they can dock a big aircraft carrier. We're gonna play a basketball game on. I go, well, good luck with that one, buddy. So that worked out okay. And the other one, and I've told this story before. It's kind of interesting. As you might guess, nobody had ever done anything like this before. So anything you did was new territory. and President Obama was there with his wife. And so whether you were a beat reporter with a laptop or a radio network with a lot of equipment, you had to be at the ship about 4:30 in the morning day a game to get through security. And so Steve Gallant was our engineer on that broadcast, which you heard pieces of. When he gets back to the hotel about 7:30 in the morning, I go, Steve, how'd it go? Great. We're all set, ready to go, except we have no electricity.
Oof.
You're like, what? It's a nuclear submarine. How could you have no electricity? And what had happened was there's this rule nobody knew about. You can't have a live wire, so to speak, within certain range of a sitting president. So President Obama and his wife are sitting about mid-court, and they had tucked this big electrical line under the floor that was too close to where the president was sitting.
Wow.
And so now all of a sudden, what do? Well, you got to redo a whole lot of things real fast. And somehow it all worked.
It all came together, but that is crazy. Who would have known?
Well, nobody knew. You know what I mean? And but when the Secret Service guys showed up, they knew.
And they meant business, I'm sure.
Yeah, there was no okay, we're good. No, there was none of that. Move the thing. And they did.
Now, question for you, Will. Are you ready for a story?
I'm ready.
It's going to come from Austin Thornton's brother. You heard him say there in that last piece that Austin has a brother. Well, that brother does serve, as you kind of put together there. It was in the military at the time and got to go to this game on this ship, understanding it from his perspective. That's what we're about to do right now.
When I found out that I was going to actually be able to attend, I wasn't sure if my command was going to allow me to do that. So there's actually kind of a funny story how that happened. I checked in to my unit on I think it was the 7th or the 8th of November, and the game was obviously being played on the 11th. Well, somehow ESPN got a hold of my regimental commander's personal office number, and I was just a lowly second lieutenant at the time, so I was the lowest rung of the officer ranks, and this is a full-bird colonel. He's got 25 years. He's in charge of 3,000 Marines. And he gets a phone call from ESPN asking about a second lieutenant, Tom Thornton. And he had no idea who I was. And so now he knows who I am. He saw me from his office, and he thought he'd play a little prank on me. So I'm checking in, and from across the office way, I hear, "Who the hell are you?" Screams at me, and I see that it's a full-bird colonel screaming at me. So I come to attention from about 30 yards away and says, I reported as command. He goes, "Get in my office." So I marched over to his office. I'm thinking, what the hell did I do? He goes, "Hey, why is ESPN calling me about you?" And I was so terrified of what had just happened that I completely brain farted about why ESPN might have been calling about looking for me. I had no idea. I could not recollect it, sir. I have no idea. And he actually had to remind me, "Isn't your brother playing on the Carrier Classic or something?" "Oh, yes, sir." "Yeah, he is." So there's a little bit of a story there about how I checked in, and I completely forgot because I got roused and hazed by my commanding officer at the time. We get there, and it was pure military brass. So when you get Magic Johnson anywhere, he's never going to get a moment alone. Everyone wants to get their photo with him. Everyone wants to introduce themselves. And so now you've got, just picture and imagine a shipload of admirals and generals and colonels who are all wanting to get their photo with Magic Johnson. And me, being just a second lieutenant, I was like, there's no chance. There's no way I'm going to get over there because I'm just the low rung of the totem pole, right? Well, my dad, he doesn't care, so he drags me over there to where you see Magic Johnson signing autographs and then introducing the people. And he goes, "Hey, Magic." And he looks at my dad, sees me, and he says to his entourage, I don't know what he said, but hey, go get that guy. So his entourage literally pushed aside all of these admirals and all these generals for this lowly second lieutenant to get his photo with Magic Johnson. And so for the rest of the night, during breaks during the game, I'd go, "Hey, Lieutenant, come here. What's your story?" "Sir, my brother's playing in the game. He's playing for Michigan State." So I got to meet a lot of really interesting, fascinating people that night. What I thought was really cool about the whole, from a national perspective, was that it was the same ship that had been used to dump Osama bin Laden's body after he was killed. The Navy SEALs had killed him in Pakistan. They flew his body back to the USS Carl Vinson and dumped his body somewhere in the ocean from that very carrier. So I thought that was a pretty good feeling to have, that, you know, not only is this the ship where we killed one of America's enemies, but we also get to now play one of America's best pastimes on the very same carrier. It's a really good experience.
Second lieutenant at the time, Tom Thornton, the brother of Austin Thornton, who would go on to become a captain of a Michigan State basketball team and have a wonderful career. And by the way, for Austin, he got his master's and his GA at MSU, and now he's an assistant coach. So Austin didn't leave far from home after playing a little professional basketball. What a great story, though. Can you imagine you're a second lieutenant and some guy who's the guy screams your name? You talk to me now.
Might need to change his pants after that one. That's
what I would salute and go, I didn't do it, whatever it is.
Oh, that is great. It is such a great story. And you mentioned Austin Thornton. How about things coming full circle for him, where he's now back at Michigan State on the staff for Michigan State men's basketball? And as memory may serve you, in recent years, Michigan State was yet again involved with a basketball game on a ship. They took on Gonzaga this time around, but before the game, there was a moment for broadcast host for Michigan State Radio Network, Blake Froling, to catch up with Austin Thornton and put together this feature, given the fact that it had been 11 years since those pieces were made and that game was played, and just to see how time has treated the Thorntons.
Austin Thornton knows a little something about aircraft carriers. Michigan State's video coordinator played in that last carrier game back in 2011. And like tonight's game, the 2011 edition meant so much more than just winning or losing. His brother Tommy was there with him in full uniform as a member of the Marines.
Yeah, it's hard to describe and put into words that really justify the feelings. You know, when you have an individual, especially a sibling of yours, an older sibling that you look up to, is probably the second most important person in your life behind your dad. You know, and knowing the personal sacrifice that he and all our other service members make for us to be able to go out and play on a game on an aircraft carrier, it's just, it's an incredible feeling.
Tommy's in the reserves now and has risen up to the rank of major since that last game in 2011. But that doesn't stop Austin from getting in a little brotherly banter.
We're 11 years older. We are 11 years heavier. And so I teased him a little bit. I hope your uniform still fits. And he was like, oh, it'll be fine, And he called me yesterday, and he gave me the most brotherly love. Hey, I just want to let you know, I put on a few pounds, and I'm making a $600 investment into making sure I'm in my uniform that's going to fit me so I don't look like a stuck pig out there on the ship.
As for the game itself, Austin may not have actually scored in that game back in 2011, but he has some pretty good advice for the current players as they prepare for the experience.
Appreciate the moment, because it is going to fly by, but understand and appreciate how cool of an event it's going to be. You know, appreciate an opportunity, appreciate the chance. You know, make sure you, while we're there, interact and engage with our service members as much as you can, because, you know, the sacrifices that those individuals make for us allow for us to be a part of this game at this level and do the really, really pretty cool events that we get a chance to do.
Austin Thornton, and it was amazing. But it was interesting, Dalton. The second game, the second carry game was different than the first one. The first one had a lot of pageantry with the president and, just you name the bigwig, they were there for that. The second game the setup was a little different. It was still a major, major event, but felt a little bit more like a basketball game.
Well, it's funny you say that, because in looking back and doing a little bit of history review, that wasn't going to be the second game, because there was another Big Ten team that was supposed to play on an aircraft carrier many years ago, actually the year after Michigan State played North Carolina in 2011. Ohio State was going to play Marquette, and that game was canceled because of moisture on the court. So we have had another Big Ten team try and make this thing happen. And matter of fact, Ohio State did make it happen on the women's side. They did play Notre Dame on a ship in one of these kinds of contests. So it goes to show that it's not just Michigan State, but there's a lot of Big Ten flavor when it tries to get involved with the military.
It was interesting, that Buckeye game that got canceled. The one thing that was learned from the first game in 2011, right, was that at some point in the day, condensation's going to set in on that floor. So you have to make sure this game is over by a certain time. And that information got relayed to the promoters of that second one. And no, it's going to be a primetime thing. Well, they went past the window, and they had no shot at all of doing that. And, it's interesting. Wind, right? Like in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the day before this second game when Gonzaga and Michigan State are going to play, you're out there practicing, and 15-foot jump shot, forget it. The wind's going to get it, man. It's taking it. So literally, Michigan State, as the story goes, had two game plans. If the wind continued, they had a game plan which basically featured no jump shots, just get the ball inside for short shots, or, your normal offense. As it turned out, the weather was pretty good, and it was a really nice game.
I was going to say, and it still was low scoring. So outdoor probably always does have some sort of factor, right?
Little bit. Hey, by the way, don't forget Auto Owners Insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners make sense for you. Well, when we come back with more of the sports life, we're going to talk about coaches serving the military. It's all coming up in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
That ought to do it. Totally energy efficient.
Oh, no, not again. This time, we're getting help.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the battle of energy efficiency improvements. In this corner, Mr. I can save money and do it on my own. And in this corner, Miss Let's Get It Done Right with some help. Fight! Or you could just go to avoidenergydrama.com. From sealing your home to helpful loan options, you'll find all the tips and tools you need to stop wasting energy and stay comfortable. Avoidenergydrama.com. Brought to you by Michigan Saves.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see. Depression won't show up on an eye chart, and you can't measure it on your bathroom scale. Sorting out a mental health concern is not something to attempt on your own. You won't find a bipolar disorder by looking at a thermometer. Like many other health conditions, help for mental illness takes professional diagnosis and treatment. Anxiety won't just go away under a stick-on bandage. So the sooner you seek treatment, the better. If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. Find out what to do. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support. That's samhsa.gov/support.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler, as this is our show where we salute our country and the men and women who serve it. Well, Doug Wojcik is an assistant basketball coach at Michigan State University, and he also played basketball for Navy and, as a matter of fact, was a team captain. But in 1987, when he graduated, he became a commissioned officer in the Navy. So with that background, we had a chance to talk with Coach Wojcik about what the military was like for him. And Tom Izzo has done his fair share of helping the military. He also had some feelings about the military.
People on a ship, your crew, your enlisted, your officers, you are basically an environment unto yourself on the ocean. And if a fire breaks out, you got to fight the fire. You need fresh water, you got to make fresh water. Meals need to be cooked. You have your crew that cooks the meals. So in that sense, it's a protected environment that's totally dependent on each other to kind of make that thing work. So a ship is an ongoing moving machine in the ocean, right? So your machinery never stops. So you had a job specifically, say I was the first lieutenant initially, which is basically the deck officer. So I was in charge of the appearance of the ship, the rust on the ship, refueling at sea, supplies, anchoring, mooring, all those different things. And then I moved on to being the boilers officer in the engineering department. So you had your job, and you had a crew of 30 to 40 people working for you on my size ship. I was on a frigate, which is just slightly smaller than a Navy destroyer. But then on top of that, you had your watch hours. So I was the deck officer of the deck. If we were on 3 section watches every 8 hours, I was on the bridge of the ship, in charge of the ship as we went through the water. So people think that you're rested. No, you're busy as heck. So nothing like, people ask me right now, Will, why do I drink black coffee? Well, that's why I drink black coffee. So, you would have, say I had the rev watch. That means that I'm up and I'm on the bridge of the ship from say 4 to 8 in the morning. So you get up. Nothing like being the officer of the deck and watching the sunrise of a U.S. warship. So, but then from there, I'd get breakfast, and then I'd go down to my division and make sure we're doing what we have to do to maintain the ship. So it's a very, very, very busy environment, it's kind of hard to describe. One way I would describe the Rev Watch is, for anyone out there, if you want to know what that's like, get up at 3:30 tomorrow morning, get a brick, and put a string around a brick, because that's to simulate your binoculars, and put that around your neck and go stand out on your back deck for the next 4 hours and watch the sunrise. And that's what what the Rev Watch was like.
My dad and my uncles were in the military, and when I was in high school, it was the draft was there, yep. And we, my senior year, I'll never forget when Vietnam War ended. Otherwise, I'd have been a draft number, and, I have a great appreciation, but it really, like everything else in life, it never happens until it happens to you. And I went to Kuwait on a thing called Hoops with the Troops, spent a week over there with our military people, stayed in a hotel the first week I went, but was on base 18 hours a day. And it was 130 every day, and I saw troops going to Baghdad and coming back from Baghdad, and the security, and I went through some different activities, and one was a Humvee that you sat in, and it kind of taught you how to get in and out of a Humvee, and when it flips over, and Tubby Smith and I were in the back seat, and the thing flipped over, and the 2 guys in the front were military guys, and they were out of that thing in about 12 seconds. And I think Tubby and I think I beat him by about 20 seconds, and we were into the 2 minutes. We were fully garbed up with, a rifle and everything and all the weight. And one of the officers said, now picture being underwater and somebody shooting at you. And, it's just like, it's just a different feeling. So, and a guy said to me, some 5-star general or whatever, one of the highest ranked people are, he said to the coaches that were there, he says, when you guys make a mistake, you lose a game. If we make a mistake, we lose a life. And that resonated with me. And the next year I went back and then lived in the barracks with the troops. And when I came back from there, that's when some of the things started, including the aircraft carrier, going to Navy, going to the Citadel, going to Germany and play, honoring our military people here, and just being over there 200 miles from Baghdad and all that. I came back, I had a team meeting at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I said that event changed my life. And I just look at it so much differently, and I have such an appreciation for all of our military people and the sacrifices they make, their families make. We should be really appreciating everything these men and women do for us. You know, it brings tears to my eyes, it brings excitement to me right now, but it definitely brings some passion for the people that do it for us.
Michigan State assistant coach Doug Wojcik, a commissioned naval officer, and Michigan State's head coach Tom Izzo as they talk about the value of our military. Back with more in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
So I graduated last year and got a job. Sweet! But it got boring. I didn't really have a purpose. Then I started volunteering with Community Action. It's a statewide network with 29 agencies across Michigan. Community Action helps people with food, housing, utilities, childcare, senior services, you name it. I found my purpose, helping people, changing lives. Won't you join me? Call 1-855-MI-ACTION or go to MichiganCommunityAction.org. Sponsored by Michigan Community Action and Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
This is a Potter's Field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And welcome back for more of The Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler as we continue our salute to the men and women of America's armed forces. Hey, and don't forget Auto Owners Insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you. Well, as our salute continues here on the Sports Life, we're going to flash back now to 2016. 2016 was a time that marked the 75th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941, by the Japanese. As part of the commemoration of that anniversary, there was a basketball tournament going on that involved Indiana, Kansas, Arizona, and Michigan State. What you are about to hear is a little flashback to the Michigan State-Arizona game.
Aloha and good evening, everyone. My name is Dalton Shetler, and I'm courtside here in the Stan Sheriff Center on the campus of the University of Hawaii as we prepare for not only the season opener, but the Armed Forces Classic matchup between the Michigan State Spartans and the Arizona Wildcats.
75th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. I've had some great interactions with the military in the last 12, 14 years, starting with my trips to Kuwait and the Carrier Classic, the first Armed Forces Classic in Germany, and then playing at the Naval Academy at Citadel. I've had some incredible things that I've dealt with the military, and when I say it was life-changing experiences for me, it was when I went to the Naval Academy, it was when I went to Citadel, it was when I went to all the other events that we've participated in. I want to thank Mark Hollis, I want to thank our president for allowing us. I want to thank the military, and if we can add something to bring some awareness of just what they go through and what they do, I'd be a standing testament to how much they do for us, and proud to be a part of what maybe we can do in a small way for them.
Just to actually get to know those people and, get to know them as a guy and things like that. There are a lot of pretty cool guys and have a lot of interesting backgrounds and things like that. So to actually get to know them instead of just, hearing about them or watching them on the television and things like that is a whole different perspective.
This first half, and the ball goes to Bridges, comes right down the baseline, and what a slam! 9-0 Michigan State over Arizona. How about this start for the 2016-17 season? Goins has it, gets it to Tom lob, pass to, guess who? Miles Bridges for the easy slam.
Miles Bridges, the young fella, gets up in transition. Nairn, great pass for the Spartan Deuce.
Miles, what a fabulous move right around Pender of Arizona. Set him up and just got right by with a spin.
We had a lot of interactions. We went to the submarine, we went to Pearl Harbor. I feel like that was a good experience for us because one of the people from the Navy, they said that they were starstruck by us. So, I felt like it's a good experience for us and them because they get to see us and we get to see what they do.
Ellis in the wing drives the baseline out from McQuaid. He's shooting for the tie. He got it. We're tied at 44. Bridges cross-court Tom. He won't shoot the three, but Ellis will. He got it. Yes. Bridges shake and bake down the lane. Scoop shot away. No. Tip going. Yes. Are you kidding me?
Well, talking with the guys, a lot of them say that they move like every 3 or 4 years or something like that. And to just have a life like that where you're always bouncing from place to place, I couldn't even imagine it. I get kind of homesick just traveling on these short trips. So
loose ball comes out now to Bridges. We got 16 seconds left. Shot clock off. Well, need a three now. 10 seconds. And Tom fires it. It goes. Oh! He got it. He got it with 7 seconds left. It hit the back of the rim and laid there and dropped through.
Unbelievable.
The most unlikely guy in this gym just made a free ball. We got a final from Honolulu in the game one of the 2016 Armed Forces Classic. The final is Arizona 65 and Michigan State has 63.
Quite a basketball game, and Dalton, I think you'll agree that these sort of events, in our case, we were there to broadcast a Michigan State basketball game, so we would like the Spartans to win. But at the end of the day, it really isn't that important because there were so many other things that were going on. The clinics that Tom Izzo was part of to talk to the kids of the service personnel at Pearl. You could just look in their face, and it was just so exciting for them to see Tom Izzo there and be part of it. And one of the crazy things that we experienced, of course, we were on board the Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And we were on board the Arizona with the University of Arizona basketball team, which I thought was a little ironic.
It most certainly was. And, I mean, to that point, I mean, we went aboard the USS Arizona. We got to take a tour around Pearl Harbor. And it's funny, to your larger point, not so much do I remember the ins and outs of what ebbed and flowed in a 65-63 final between Michigan State and Arizona, but that tour that both the basketball programs got to take of Pearl Harbor and that we were able to be a part of as well. I just remember all the different visuals of the sunken ships, the different things you could see there on that tour. But maybe more than anything else, that wall that had every name of the members involved with Pearl Harbor, people who lost their lives sacrificing for our country. That was a moment when you stood in front of that wall and you absorbed everything that was in front of you, the names, the lives, the significance of it all. That was one of those things that I know, at least for me, will stick with me for the rest of my life. That was heavy, heavy stuff there.
And the other thing that really struck me was while we were standing on the Arizona, if you look to our left, there was the USS Missouri. Mm-hmm. Which is where the peace treaties were signed. So it was amazing to be standing in a singular spot where it began and where it ended, looking at two different ships, the Arizona, obviously, and the Missouri battleship. So I would just say, if you like history, and it's just a trip worth taking. If you're on the islands, it's amazing the impact it has on everybody that takes it. And obviously, when we were there, that was the 75th anniversary, right?
Yep.
That wasn't our war, so to speak. I mean, we weren't around for that. But yet, it's part of our history, and it just moves you. And like you said, the wall, you got to be kidding me. How do you not be emotionally touched by that?
Yeah. No, I don't think you cannot. I think you're pretty impenetrable if that one doesn't move you in any kind of way. But I do also got to say, I remember a part of the visit out there. Remember, we got to go on a submarine and tour around and play around with some of the different things on the submarine. That was a pretty eye-opening experience, too. And I think for the basketball players who are all, 6'7", 7 feet tall, that seemed to be an eye-opener for them as well.
It's pretty amazing. It was a nuclear sub, right? When they go out, they stay down a long time. And so two things. Number one, I'm glad I was not in the submarine service. And number two, you're right. 6'7's not good if you're going to be in a submarine. Back with more of the Sports Life in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
So I graduated last year and got a job. Sweet! But it got boring. I didn't really have a purpose. Then I started volunteering with Community Action. It's a statewide network with 29 agencies across Michigan. Community Action helps people with food, housing, utilities, childcare, senior services, you name it. I found my purpose, helping people, changing lives. Won't you join me? Call 1-855-MI-ACTION or go to MichiganCommunityAction.org. Sponsored by Michigan Community Action and Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Anybody ready for a burger?
I'm State Fire Marshal Rich Miller, reminding everyone to think safety first when it comes to outdoor grilling, whether it's charcoal or gas. Never overload your grill with food. Excess fat and grease will create large flames. Grill outdoors and never inside or in a garage. Never leave a grill unattended and always keep a fire extinguisher nearby. For more tips on safe grilling, visit the Bureau of Fire Services website at michigan.gov/BFS.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit InsureKidsNow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, today has been a special show as we have been saluting the men and women of the American Armed Forces. I really enjoyed the Thornton piece, Austin Thornton, and Doug Wojcik, his connection to the U.S. Navy and his family. Amazing story there, and getting to relive the trip to Pearl Harbor, celebrating the 75th anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor by the Japanese. We were there in 2016. I mean, you just, all these memories come back, and it's just amazing when you flash back to some of these things when we talk about the military. So now it is time for our parting shots. Dalton, what do you have?
Well, and I think this is a pretty apropos moment for us to take a moment and salute some of the armed force members that have meant so much to our lives. My dad, Brian Kinner, served in the United States Marine Corps, was one heck of a Marine who did a couple of different tours and missions in the United States Marine Corps. Actually won the, this is my ignorance, I actually don't know the name of it, but you know the movie Top Gun, right, Will? Well, my father, Brian Kinner, actually won that award for tanks in the United States Marine Corps. He was that good, and certainly I think about it a lot, how grateful I am to have him in my life and grateful for his service as well. So a big salute to Brian Kinner. Well,
that's well done, Mr. Dalton, well done. All my uncles served, my dad served, and it just, and it was interesting as I would talk to them, and I also want to mention our former colleague, Gus Kanakis, served in World War II. And one of the things all of these fellows had in common besides their service and love of country, really when I would sit down with any of my uncles, including my father, if I wanted to talk about anything, there was a very short conversation. Whatever they did, they were proud of, but it was not to be talked about, not to brag about. It was just what they thought was their duty. And with that, we hope you've enjoyed our show. And we should also note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler. Our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton Shetler, I'm Will Tiemann, and thanks for your time.